High casualties are reported in Syria, with at least 1,000 civilians killed by militant Islamists in the country's west in Latakia, Hama, and Homs. The murdered are religious minorities, including women and children. Joining us with the latest information about this is John Samara. He's executive director of Ananias House. That's an organization that works in Syria and throughout North Africa and the Middle East. John, there are a lot of rumors floating around social media. First, our viewers are concerned primarily, of course, with the fate of our brothers and sisters in Christ. So what can you tell us about Christian victims? Were they targeted? How many were killed and injured? What have you heard?
Well, Gary, thank you for having me. There is a lot of report, and right now what we're seeing, and this has become public report, official report coming also from the Orthodox Church and the Christian and as a whole community inside Syria. There were in the coastal area where Banyas, Latakia, and Tartus, these major cities, and all the villages and the town around surrounding these areas as well, has we seen severe attack on the Alawite people group, as this is what happened originally by Alawite militant group attacking the new security forces and killing 20 of them. Then in response, this militant group came in, plus the current security forces attacked to respond. But on the way, this militant group began to slaughter villages and towns, eradicating whole towns and villages. Civilian men and women, children were slaughtered. There is a building of only doctors and pharmaceutical people. They went in and they slaughtered everybody in that building, with everybody, men, women, and children. A genocide taking place as we speak in the last 48 hours. It's been horrific atrocity to see this militant radical group going in. They're going into areas where Alawite and Christian villages are located, and they're forcing them to evacuate and to leave. As they forced them to evacuate and leave, they shot with cold blood, shot and killed many of them, and some of them were Christian, as affirmed report coming from the field from the Orthodox Church as well. But as well, we as evangelical Christian in Syria, we lost a father and a son. A father and a son were forced to leave. They were forced to evict by this radical group. And at checkpoint, they were cold-blooded, shot and murdered. These are believers, part of the church body. And we mourn with our families, we mourn with our churches, and we mourn for the other who are innocent, have nothing to do with this battle and this war, but they're caught just because they're part of a sect. And the injustice taking place need to be stopped. Somebody need to speak up from the Western world, from the United States, and to put a stop for this. Now we're seeing a lot of opposition, and one of the things that we're seeing all the Muslim community today, where there was massive protests in Damascus, going in a major area located, a historical area in Damascus, and protesting the killing of the civilian. They're Muslim, Sunni, Christian, Alawite, Druze coming together and united, protesting this evil that taken place. But today they were faced by the HTS security forces. They began to shoot bullets in the air and beating on some of the people trying to break these protests. This is not what Syria wants. This is not what the Syrian people want. This is not what the Muslim or the minority or the Christian want this.
John, let me just clarify here. So we know of a father and a son who were Christian that were killed. Other Christians being forced from their homes. Is that correct?
Yes, there are. They are being forced out of their home villages, Christian villages. I was hearing the report, and next to Alawite and other villages, the Christian villages as well were forced out of their homes. And there's a lot of theft happening and looting taking place right now, and indiscriminately looting, just because these are radical going in, taking anything, cars, home. But Christians have been forced out of their home, their cars been taken, their homes been taken, and some of them were shot and killed. According to today, just the Orthodox representative, the Archbishop, spoke and talked about this as well. Christians are being targeted. So we We don't have exact number. One of our stories, some of our girls, young women, young girls who are in college in an area called Qadmus in Damascus, they're going to university, and they took them and they held them. They put them in a room with other girls. And they kept them there for the last 2 days. They have not been released. And we were told by these are Christian believer girls, and we were told there are Chechenian foreigners are there because of their accent. They can tell, holding them and as hostage at the university.
So let me get this straight. So these are militias, Islamist militias who did this, not government. So the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham's HTS, what are they doing about it? Are they trying to stop this? I guess the leader, El-Jilani, said that he would try to do something, but what are they doing?
So HTS has allowed these militant groups to fight alongside of them. And at the beginning, they were. I don't want to speak be carefully, but I think was HTS called the support of the other militant group to come alongside, and that's to go into the coastal area. And that's when they went in there with that genocide begin to take place. And so HTS have tried today, said they're going to put a committee to investigate, and they have 2 people out of the 7 people on that committee, independent committee in Syria. 2 of them are Alawite in that committee to investigate the genocide. But the problem is we seen those committees being established during Assad regime in the past, and we know the result of these independent local committees. And I don't think the Syrian people have trust in that, but we'll see what they will do. Our aim, our hope that the HTS will begin to arrest and fight, go to a battle against these radical group. That's the only way we could see them as true to their world, when they go and face these radical group and begin to fight them, eradicate them. But they lost trust among even Muslim Sunnis at this moment.
Well, although Christians weren't specifically targeted, I'm sure Christians fear that as a religious minority in the country, they too will be targeted in the future. They may not have been this time, but in the days ahead, what are they telling you? I'm sure they're very much afraid.
I would disagree. Christians are being targeted, and here is the message the Christians are hearing across the country. And that's what's concerning. And that's in the last couple of months since they took over. They've been on checkpoints when they get stopped. The Christians been hearing that one message, and not one city, everywhere across the country. Wait until we get a good grips on the land, and we're going to step over your neck. Your turn is coming next. That message across the country coming from, and people with HTS. And so it's a big concern for the Christians. So we've been trying to preemptive action to stop the potential genocide, which we were not able to stop it for the Alawite, but we can try for the Christian. These are serious message coming from the top. I believe, because the same message all across the country going to the Christian. Wait until we have strong control of the land. And that's something we will take seriously, and we will respond, and we will report this. So they are being threatened. And also one of the things that are concerning to us, they begin to look at when they stop people at checkpoint, they take their cell phone and they start searching through their cell phone. And this is a concern. It's not just it's not any different than Assad regime. It's exactly the same, and probably worse, as it seemed like they're practicing. One of the things that I heard just today in Latakia, that they stopped a Christian lady. They asked her the first question, "Are you an Alawite?" And she said, "No, I'm Christian." They saw her ID, her name, and they let her go. What if she was an Alawite? What were they going to do to her? This is concerning. This is an STS, and so. The country is collapsing, and we need to cry on behalf of the innocent that are losing, that they have no voice, no matter who they are, and they have no voice. And so here's the things, Gary. The Christian always stood for the for the broken and for the weak. They always stood. And during Assad regime, they stood with the Muslim and Sunni, and they offered the hand of love and support to them because they were persecuted under Assad. And they served them well. And today, we always will stand with where the place there injustice taking place against. And so this is the church today standing with the minority who are being slaughtered. That is injustice. And we will continue to cry out for mercy in that nation.
Well, what can Americans do then about this? What should Christians worldwide do, and how should they pray?
I think we need to be active. We need to pray. We're calling to prayer. We're calling prayer for the church leadership as well in Syria. How do you respond when you have no voice in that country and your voice becoming eliminated, completely vibrated? We need to pray for wisdom. And one of the things I would encourage, and one of us talking to one of our leaders, to my father, and he said, God doesn't see Syria through the eyes of this genocide, the eyes of this war and the dark cloud. God sees Syria through the church. And we pray for the church to be Christ-like, continue to be Christ-like in that country. The Christian been present for over 2,000 years since Christ came and walked and died on the cross. Christianity been present in Syria. And they had an amazing job that the gospel went out of Damascus through Paul, the first mission journey. And we need to pray for the gospel to continue to go out, to Christ to continue to be there present through love and care. So we need to pray for wisdom. Other thing we need to pray for that, how survival of the Christian. And they are being forced out of their homes, they're being pressured, they've been abused verbally. These are real threats, and it's very hard to survive under that environment. We don't know what's going to take place next, so we need to pray for their safety and security. But also, I encourage Christian here, reach out to your representative. You have a voice. You have a voice before the Lord, and God have the ears of the leaders. And so we need to cry before the Lord's and on behalf of the church in that part of the world.
Okay, John Samara, Ananias House, thank you for bringing us the latest on developing news in Syria. We appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you, Gary.